A great creature of newly returned power arrived at the site where it had sensed the presence of the daemon, and that of the divine, but arrived just in time to see Temeran heading away and the remnants of Night Stalker's magic departing from the inscribed circle. But another presence was also here. It was a strange magic whose threads were unknown to them, and they searched for it. It seemed daemonic, but unlike anything it had ever encountered, even from before the long sleep. And as it discovered it, the magic seemed to try to hide itself from view. The threads were captured within a magical field and held tight so escape was not possible, and was taken with this creature to the mountains in the north, where they showed them to the rest of their kind. They could not identify this magic, nor its origins. It was both strange and fascinating, and they all searched for knowledge upon this, but found nothing. It was as though it did not exist. They placed it within an essence trap, as it did seem to contain the driving sentience, as though a daemon still commanded it, and placed it within their collection of other magical curiosities, and over a year or so forgot about it. This shard of the Nameless One had been preserved by denizens of the realms, and this was to be the eventual downfall of this place, as in future times a war broke out, and through the defiance of this race against its attackers, and the knowledge of their long-hidden caches of magical creations from the ancient times, the essence trap became lost, and found its way to a trader. The trader did not understand what they had, but it slowly worked his magic upon his mind, and so the Nameless One gained his first new follower, unknown to them of course, and directed them to places of power, to old sites of magic, and half away around the realms. It learned all it could from its place of safety and non-detection, locked within a protective shell. Eventually, it felt the slight pull of the faint tether that had been erected by an unknown many centuries prior, and guided their carrier to this place, a small cave with a flickering tether to the plains. It was familiar, but strange, yet was of his magic. It was a link to the tainted prime, where he had created the false temples and altars, a place the fragment knew could be used to traverse and carry itself back to its source, to unite and report him with its whole, but it could not do this without aid, for it had not the power to open the portal, and any such with power would never willingly carry him from place to place. The once trader, now an aged and hardened traveller of the realms, scoured the area for signs of meaning, discovering and picking up a strange cloak that lay upon the ground. It was supple and smooth, light as a feather, and felt soft like silk, and yet was seemingly crafted from barely visible scales. Strangely, despite the cold caves, this cloak felt warm to the touch, and so the trader put it on to comfort his old bones. From the moment he did this, to the moment he died centuries later from old age, he knew nothing of what transpired, as the darkness that invaded his mind controlled him absolutely. The cloak wrapped warmly around him, and his skin changed in a matter of hours, from leather-like human skin to soft, tiny scales glistening in the darkness. The shard of the essence of the Nameless One sensed something was wrong, and tried to exert control over the body he was using, but found he was powerless to do so. All he could sense was a malevolent darkness from the once carrier, overpowering his control, and it was of an unknown and seemingly deified origin. At this point he lost all ability to communicate with them. He had found the tether, only now to be taken away from it and back into the realms. Only now he had no sight and no sense other than that of an unknown magic. And so he wandered blindly through the realms, until his carrier died, and he was left upon the corpse, which slowly decayed. The darkness passed on from his senses at this point, and eventually a new creature was sent to pick the vessel up from the dead. It was that of an orc, who would one day bring war to the realms of this prime, and other primes, and would eventually carry his seed to another prime, where the Nameless One could then follow. But before the war began, the orc did as he was destined to. He erected a small portal, with the aid of his brethren, within the caves where the tether lay. The caves were then sealed once the portal had been established, and all knowledge of it was removed with the deaths of those who had aided them. No one would know of what had been done. In scant years, enough power had built to alert and enable the Nameless One a second chance at returning to this prime. And in the meantime, the trapped essence did all it could to create a power base using the Orcs as a first step. The armies of their kind were vast and brutal, much like those of the Nameless One, but they too used gods to fuel their powers, mixed with the old ways of magic and demonic pacts to bolster their own power. Their armies were formidable and unpredictable, and would mask his second coming with ease.